listening to the PRO Media Network, the next level in entertainment.
You are now listening to Ring Kings Boxing on the PRO Media Network.
All right, fam, welcome to another episode of Ring Kings Boxing. We up in this thing. Shout out to the fam. I'm Big Q chiming in on this episode of Ring Kings Boxing. Just pretty much a recap of what happened this past Saturday in the world of boxing, and they had some really good fights that really kind of led the way we kind of looking at the fight that happened between Teofimo Lopez and Josh Taylor beating Lopez, but Teofimo Lopez proved, man, that styles make fights. He looked pretty spry in the fight. Taylor didn't look comfortable in the fight, and you can see that Teofimo was able to move around. He had some spirit with him, and he was able to affect Josh Taylor a lot in this fight and pretty much put on a show. So shout out to Teofimo Lopez for handling the business in the matchup against Taylor, taking the belts and everything. Just terrific. And then kind of pulled the exciting move too on the back end of it, and we're going to cover this in the episode of Ring Kings Boxing, as after the fight he kind of looked at and talked about retiring. And if you look at the social media, he's saying he's stepping away from the game. So we'll see how true this is. He's just 25 years of age. He won the belts, like he got up there and he was able to beat Loma to get the belts. Wasn't able to defend it. He lost it against Kambosos. And then, of course, he gets him moves up in weight, takes him from Taylor, and then, decides, hey, man, I'm 25. I'm just going to step away from the game. I did this and that. We'll cover that today as well. One of the best fights that I have to just talk about is the Jaime Munguia fight versus Sergiy Derevyanchenko. Just, was a very stern opponent against Jaime Munguia. Now, we're going to talk about this fight because, to me, I think this was probably the most entertaining fight of this past weekend in the boxing world, just to keep it $115 with you on it. I mean, you want to watch this fight, go back. If you hadn't seen it, just, look it up online. This was a really interesting fight from round 1 to round 12. And even though we understand that Sergiy is not the fighter he used to, but he's a very tough opponent, to deal with. And he's definitely a step up in competition for Jaime. And Jaime, he just showed some weaknesses, Jaime Munguia's style, as he's looking to get more higher profile fights. Now, we know Jaime is a guy that is he's a pressure fighter. He tried to goes for the knockout most of the time, and he has a strong chin. He took a lot of abuse in this one from Sergiy in this fight. So we're going to cover this fight, which I think probably was the best fight night. And then, of course, the Adrien Broner fight. We'll talk a little bit about that as he defeated Bill Hutchinson in the comeback bout. He was out of boxing for a while, dealing with all kind of stuff. He teamed up with Dying King, got in shape, and actually went on with the fight against Hutchinson. I mean, a lot of people, I didn't expect Adrien Broner to lose this fight. I knew he would win this fight, and it would be a pretty simple fight for Adrien Broner to have after being out of the ring for so long. He didn't look the same Adrien Broner to me. He's a little older. Not a lot of head movement, not a lot of speed there. A lot of ring rust too, but he was able to get the dub, so he's building on that. So anyway, let's get into these fight. Rio spoke about being thankful. All right, and here go the post-fight reaction to Teofimo, man. Congratulations once again to Teofimo Lopez, man. You can tell that he's been dealing with a lot with his family, but this was his reaction after the fight, after he beat Josh Taylor. Here we go.
Steve Gray scores the bout 115-113. Joe Pasquale scores the bout 115-113. And Benoit Roussel scores the bout 117-111 for your winner by unanimous decision. And new WBO Lineal Junior Welterweight Champion of the World, the Takeover, Teofimo Lopez!
The Takeover, who at one point when he started this ascent to get back said it's going to be now the take back. He's back. He did it. He's on top of the world again. And now he's with Bernardo, the new junior welterweight champion of the world. Bernardo.
Teofimo, I know that's the belt that means a lot to you right now, but
no, that's the ring too, baby. I know, but I gotta wear it right now. Hold on, that's 100 years. You can't do that. You disrespecting boxing right now.
The other belt.
You're disrespecting boxing right now. What kind of shit is that?
Hey, Teofimo, hold on. We're on the network right now. You last time you were in this ring, you questioned whether you had it or not. What did you prove tonight? Huh? What did you prove tonight after questioning whether you had it or not last time you were in this ring?
Listen, I just want to thank God first. He has given me this glorified win. I'm so thankful right now. It's been a long time coming. We just beat the #1 ranked guy, #1 champion, lineal world champion, Josh Taylor, former undisputed world champion, 2-time undisputed world champion, Teofimo Lopez.
You talked about how you were comfortable with southpaws. How were you able to decipher,
Josh, I do want to say one thing. I think I let my emotions get the best of me. I do not want to take your life. I want you to go back to your family, my man. And I apologize as a man. All right?
Fun and games. So fun and games. I never took it to heart anyway.
Yeah, I feel you.
It's more than that to hurt my feelings.
I got you.
Walk me through how you were able to decipher his southpaw stance and be so dominant tonight.
Josh Taylor, man, he's a tough dude, man. And I can see why he beat so many fighters. But you gotta counter the counter puncher. You gotta outsmart the man and get in there, and I did that. I think I did enough. And this is what it's all about. I question myself for a good reason. You guys don't understand. I've always been my worst critic, and you guys got a little glimpse of it, but I just gotta ask you one thing and one thing only. Do I still got it?
Right answer from the crowd. The other thing, you talked about going back to being gordo tonight. Explain to the fans what that means.
Slick boxer gordo, man. If you know, you know. So this is all what it is, man. I'm so grateful. It was just all about fixing what we needed to. That's why I don't leave my coach. I trusted him a lot, and I knew there was something going on, and God showed us the tools that we needed to bring back Slick Boxer Gordo, and we won tonight.
Before I go to Josh, I want to ask you one thing. You hold the belts now. He wants to do it again. You hold the belts, though. Who do you want next at 140 pounds?
Really, my next battle is actually in court for my son. So that's really what's my next battle. I'm not really focused on who I'm going to fight next. And, to my son, Liam, Yaddy loves you so much. I told you, punchy, punchy, punchies.
All right, Teofimo Lopez fam chiming in. That was his post-start analysis. As in, always very entertaining and interesting. A fighter. Teo does it again, man, and credit to him because I picked against Teofimo to win this fight against Josh Taylor. I thought Taylor would put on a much better performance against Teo, but styles make fights, and that's the great thing about the boxing world, to be honest with you. And then this happened. Teofimo Lopez claims to be retired in the aftermath of his massive win over Josh Taylor, the new champion, thinking about hanging his gloves at just 25 years of age. Now, you don't see this often, but, he might feel like he's accomplished enough and it's time to go. Now, he had some stuff that he was dealing with, and this he might see that he needs to do other stuff in life. So you kind of see it from the opposite side so many times. So after silencing his doubters on Saturday night with a brilliant performance to win the WBO junior welterweight title from Josh Taylor, Teofimo Lopez is claiming he's retired. Lopez first told assembled media about the possibility of retirement during his post-fight interview and followed up with the post on Instagram. What a relief. Retired at the top, Lopez wrote, which featured a picture of him as a child with his father. Thank you, boxing, for this amazing life you've provided myself and my entire loved ones. The greatest. So there you go. For Lopez, just 21, displayed erratic behavior increasing after his shocking loss to Kambosos, which cost Lopez his status as the unified lightweight champion. For that reason alone, many will question the sincerity of Lopez's retirement claims, especially in the immediate wake of the bout with Taylor. Now, Lopez entering the ring for Saturday night's fight as an underdog after a trio of uninspired performances and facing a bigger, stronger fighter in Taylor, as he done when he was the underdog in 2020, bout when he then unified the lightweight champion Vasily Lomachenko, Lopez turned into a fantastic effort, dominating the fight with speed and angles that left Taylor befuddled. Lopez has been battling complicated situations outside of the ring, including turmoil within his family and a contentious divorce and custody battle that may have been the main catalyst for his statements to the reporters after his win. So what do you guys think about Teofimo Lopez saying that he's gonna hang this sucker up? What do you guys think about Lopez hanging it up? Now, he put on a really good performance in both the fights against Lomachenko to get the belts, and then he put on another really good performance against Josh Taylor. I thought Taylor, really truthfully, man, I thought Josh Taylor was going to come in this fight and perform a lot better. He wasn't as active as I thought he usually would be. And it's just credit to Teofimo, who was the better fighter in the matchup. He just came in there and just discombobulated the man. He was moving, he was, dancing, he was putting on the show. And Taylor, I don't know what was wrong with Taylor. And like they said, styles make fights, man. And Teo was able to beat him, and the judges put it as unanimous. So who's seen that coming? A lot of people had Josh Taylor, and I thought Josh Taylor too would be a guy that would be able to put Teofimo into retirement, and look like Teofimo put his own self in retirement, if you believe the claims of him claiming to be retired directly after the fight. So a lot of emotions is swirling. We know he's been dealing with some issues at home. I was reading about some stuff. He's dealing with some mental issues as well. So he might feel like, man, I did this. Now I can move on. I done made my money. I done made my claim. Now I can kind of get peace at 25 years old. If this is real, man, we're going to have to see what's going on. So y'all chime in. Let me know how y'all feel about Teofimo Lopez and Josh Taylor in the comment section, in the chat. Let me know. Shout out to the boxing fam. All right, let's move on to the next one. In this one here, Jaime Munguia took on Sergiy Derevyanchenko Saturday night as well. And this, to me, was the best fight of Saturday night. If you want to talk about rock'em sock'em action from round one, opening bell, all the way to the end of the fight, this is the fight that you guys need to go back and look at. Go back and check it out, because this was a phenomenal fight. Even though Derevyanchenko is not the same fighter he was from several years ago, he still was able to really challenge Jaime Munguia, who a lot of people are thinking Jaime Munguia is trying to move up and get bigger fights. And listen, Jaime is a pressure fighter. He's a guy that known for knockouts, and he has a good chin. And he took a ass whooping up, and I ain't gonna say ass whooping, but he took a lot of punching and hard punching and shots from Derevyanchenko, who's known to be a tough fighter, even though he's not, he's on the downside of his career, but still he's a tough journeyman fighter to deal with. And he showed what time it was in this fight. And just credit to Jaime Munguia, who Derevyanchenko, a guy on the back end of his career, could have only imagined what this fight would have looked like if Derevyanchenko was at the cusp of his career, considered, when you fight him when he was in his prime. He's on the back end now. So he's 12 round. He couldn't get him up out of there. He still gets the majority decision win. But at the end of the day, Jaime Munguia gets the dub. Here's a little bit of Jaime Munguia after he defeated Sergiy Derevyanchenko Saturday night.
Aquí seguimos invictos y vamos a seguir trabajando y a seguir aprendiendo.
Well, first of all, I would like to thank everybody for being here. It was honestly a sensational fight. We make some mistakes. We're gonna go to the gym and correct those mistakes. And we believe that it was a terrific fight for all the audience and for everybody. So I'm very happy for that, to give all the people this kind of fight.
Jaime, felicidades en una gran pelea y por la victoria. Qué difícil era esta pelea y qué conforme estás con la decisión.
Jaime, first of all, congratulations for this great victory. How difficult it was, and how pleased are you with the decision?
Bueno, la verdad estoy contento por la decisión. Creo que fue una buena decisión. Y la verdad, yo creo que pues me costó trabajo agarrarlo, se me movía mucho, pues me estaba dificultando la pelea, pero pues gracias a Dios pudimos ajustar a partir del 10 y logramos tumbarlo.
I think it was a correct decision. He was moving a lot. and it was difficult for me to catch him. But at the end, we catch him in the 10, and he was hurt, and in the 12, he was very, very hurt. So I think we deserve to win the fight, and I think it was a good decision.
How do y'all feel about this fight? And it'll be interesting to see exactly who he faces going forward. So we'll take a look at that, down the line, and look at fights that Jaime Munguia wants to get, because he's looking at bigger fights moving forward. It'd just be interesting to see if he can land some of these fights. All right, and then of course our final discussion, we're talking about the man himself, Adrien Broner, defeating Bill Hutchinson in the comeback. He teamed up with Don King, he and BNAB, and he was able to beat Hutchinson in not a non-thrilling fight. We kind of know AB was going to get the dub against him. We knew that Hutchinson was a good fight for AB to have, being that he's been out of fighting for a while, dealing with different issues. But it's a positive, and he's got to feel good to it's got to be rewarding and gratifying for him to get a win, after the fight with Bill Hutchinson. But let me spin the post interview from Adrien Broner.
I want to tell you, that was one impressive performance, especially after being out of the ring for 2 years. Was it everything you wanted and needed?
It wasn't everything it was everything I wanted, but it wasn't everything I needed. Right now, I need some pussy.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. Okay.
All right, before we get to that, what do you want next in the ring?
TMI.
Hey, man, listen, man. This is my first time on Don King pay-per-view, so I got to get it to y'all. Anybody can get it. Africans, Americans, Dominicans. No disrespect to no law firm out there, but attorney just got it. Anybody can get it.
Is there nobody special that you like, that you're asking for or looking for? Anyone with the title?
Anybody with the title. I see, what's his name? Romelo? Retardo? What's his name? Rolly. Oh, Rolly. Shit. I like the winner of Teofimo and Josh Taylor. And whoever else got the belt. I want all the belts. I don't just want a Louis belt, a Gucci belt. I want the WBA belt and WBO belt, WBC belt and IBF belt too.
Don, what do you have in mind for our young man, Adrien Broner? What do you have in mind? What's next for him?
Well, right now, there's this guy named Oscar De La Hoya. He sent out a waiver and he wants to meet with us. We're going to talk about it.
Nah, let him know. If he want to come over here, we got a fishnet for him.
Okay, we got whatever he say. That's whatever he say, because we're the problem here, man. And Oscar, you heard what he said. You know what I mean?
Come over here, get that fishnet, and I'm going to kick whoever asked you put in the ring with me.
All righty, did you hear that, Oscar, baby? We're going to take care of business. We're not going to be fooling around, and we got the WBC going to give us a title fight. So we're going to be able to get that title, then defend that title, and then unify the world, because he can do it. This man's a full-time world champion before, and now the best is yet to come. That's why it's a return to glory.
That's right. I want the WBC. I love the WBC. It's green, baby. That stands for World Bronze Championship.
All right. Adrien, congratulations on a terrific fight. Good luck for the future, my friend.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Adrien Broner. God. My goodness, man. Adrien Broner, man. The dude is just unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Very interesting night of boxing, man, to be honest with you. Those are the top three bouts that we're going to talk about on Ring Kings Boxing. They had some other interesting fights as well, but those are the top three to talk about. But it was fun. It was definitely fun watching a lot of good boxing this time around. Credit to Teofimo Lopez, a lot of the stuff that he went through to get the win over Josh Taylor, man. And like we saying, is it true, this whole thing about him saying that he wants to retire? I don't know what's going on with that. We know that, like he said, the custody battle, he may have mentioned that in court for his child. That's a whole nother thing within its own right, that him as a man and that he has to deal with. This other stuff that's been on the record that he has to deal with. So only time will tell what's coming up next. He mentioned the retired claim. I don't know how true that is. Right after a good emotional win over Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor, as you heard, was saying, man, listen, let's do it again. Let's get back in there and do it again. And Teo kind of laughed it off a bit. So I don't know where his head is. He's always been an emotional fighter. If this is a serious claim, we'll only know moving forward. And of course, the Jaime Munguia fight, you guys heard him in the post-fight breakdown, him mentioning that he did a good job to finally catch Derevyanchenko. The interesting part about the fight that I noticed is that Jaime Munguia is, like I say, he's a pressure fighter. He's a guy that believes in knocking out his opponents. He did commit to beating Derevyanchenko's body up, which is how he got him in the final round, as he can drop them down. If he'd focused on that a little bit more through the fight, I think he would have been able to slow him down so he couldn't move around as fast as he usually was. But Derevyanchenko, during midst of the fight, especially in the middle rounds of the fight, had some juice with him. He was moving around, shifting his feet, punching and doing stuff like that. And I find it very interesting because Derevyanchenko's on the back end of his career. He's not done yet, you know what I mean? But he's not peaking. He's done peaking. He's kind of sliding down toward the back end of his years. And he's still a very tough fighter for you to kind of man up against. And you've seen how he was able to really punish Jaime in his fight. Jaime took a lot. I've never seen him take an ass whooping like that. I'm just going to be honest with you. Derevyanchenko was in there beating, knocking the kid around. He was giving him that work. And you can look at the post press conference, look at his face, all red and bruised and things. But, at the end of the day, Jaime got to add a few more things to his arsenal, add some more head movement there. And like he said, he'll make the adjustments in the post fight because you're going to need that going forward, going up challenging other fighters that's higher than a Sergiy Derevyanchenko. So, but still, shout out to Jaime. Jaime's one of my favorite young fighters that's out there right now, looking for respect and bigger fights. All right, moving forward, then of course, Adrien Broner. Shout out to AB. After all the years of inactivity, he gets back in the ring. He was able to get a dub against a lesser fighter in Hutchinson, but it was it's something that puts AB back on the scope. And hopefully he can keep this going, because even though he was very rusty in the ring, fighting as to be expected, but it definitely has to feel good to be able to get a W and get Adrien Broner back into the fight game, period, is always interesting because, he's always a guy that seems to bring all of that intensity, the funny stuff that he talks about, the uncutness is Adrien Broner and this thing. So with that being said, fam, we're going to get ready to get out on this episode of Ring Kings Boxing. I'd like to thank you guys for spending your Sunday with me. Feel free to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share and the bell, but hit the share button and share Ring Kings with other fight addicts out there as we move forward. So shout out to my co-host, Eddie Too Mean Johnson. Rest in power, my brother, as we keep these broadcasts going on. So much love to the fam, and I'm going to holler at y'all on the next Ring King Boxing. Peace. I'm out.
You're now listening to the Ring Kings Boxing.